Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be talking to you about a guinea pig evacuation kit, and I'm going to show you how I put mine together and what I would recommend having in an evacuation kit. So what is a guinea pig evacuation kit? Well, it's basically a set of items, so the kind of essential that you need and have for your guinea pigs, but on a smaller scale, put together in an area all together, and if anything happens you can go and grab those quickly, put your guinea pig in it, and your guinea pig is in a safe area with you. So I would personally recommend an evacuation kit for any one of your pets. It's obviously going to be a little bit easier to put together for a smaller pet such as a hamster or a gerbil, because you're more likely to have the things that you'll be able to carry out quite quickly. However, it's a little bit more difficult with the larger pets. It's especially pets that require a large amount of space, but it's an evacuation kit. Remember, you don't have to be following the cage recommendations or anything like that. It's just a safety procedure, and I would really recommend looking into purchasing a few little bits and bobs or seeing what you have around the house, because when you look at mine in a second, a lot of my things are things I already have, so it's not going to cost you any extra money. But it basically means that if anything is likely to happen, maybe there's a huge storm, where depending on where you live, you might have a tornado, you might have a huge snowfall, you might have a flood, anything like that, or even if it's just there's really loud fireworks all of a sudden, you want to get your guinea pigs in the house, anything, they're fantastic because you can grab them really quickly. And it's especially this time of year because the weather's getting really bad, and I know that we're always risks of having floods in our area. We're just out of a flood area, but one of the reasons I have the guinea pigs in their raised cages is just in case it so happens that it does flood, because we're very close to a flood area, then they're pretty much safe. But I also like to have my evacuation kit just in case of anything like that. So it's a great thing to do, and I've always had something similar to an evacuation kit, and I try my best to keep it all together because then it's easier to grab. But of course some of the things are my everyday things that are just in easy to reach places in the shed. But I'll show you what I've got in mine, and I'll show you what I would recommend, and then the extras that you can put in your evacuation kit too. So the first thing of course that you will need is a cage or enclosure, and to be honest, the smaller the easier it's going to be to get that guinea pig into safety as quick as possible. It doesn't matter if the cage is small for a evacuation kit, because it's their safety that you're thinking of. Before owning your guinea pig, you should have considered travel cages and things like that, so hopefully you'll already have something that you'll be able to get them into quickly. However, if you've got the option of having a travel cage and a small cage, then I'd recommend that. I've got a pet carrier for small trips, or generally trips to the vets and things like that, and I also have this cage that I would use as my evacuation cage, which I use as a hospital cage, and which I also used when my guinea pigs were neutered to keep them separate from the other guinea pigs. It works great for a short amount of time, and this only cost me about £10 to £15 brand new on eBay. Of course, it's not a great cage in any sense. You wouldn't want to be housing any pets in this permanently or for more than a few days, but at least it gives you that chance to get your pet into a safe area as quick as possible and to get them out of there as quick as possible. That is the most important thing in any dangerous situation. So just here I've got the other essentials that I'd 100% recommend having handy. So I definitely recommend having a small bag of shavings like this one you see here on the left, and a small bag of hay like you can see on the right, and just having them, even if you end up using them and having to repurchase, because obviously you don't want to be leaving your hay for too long, but the shavings is something you can keep on one side. I like to keep it in my evacuation cage so that if anything happens quickly, I've got a small bag of shavings ready, and it's so small, I mean, you're going to have space for it. Same with the hay, you can use it eventually, but make sure you've always got that one small bag of hay, or at least some sort of carrier bag to quickly put some hay into, because it's always a great idea. And of course you need some pellets, so I've just got a small little bag down in this corner here that I can put a few pellets into. And of course once you get your pet of safety, you should know what to do next, and you should hopefully be able to sort things out. And then of course you need a water bottle. I've got one just there attached. I always keep a little spring thing attached onto the cage, so it's easier for me to get a water bottle onto there really quickly. And the next couple of things that I would say are essentials in a hospital or evacuation kit is a small hidey house. These tiny little bridges work great. You don't want to have one that's going to fill the whole cage. You just want a really mini one where they can quickly rush into and feel safe. And I'd also recommend having one toy so it gives them a distraction. And if you're able to and have got the time, grab a toy out of their cage when you're grabbing your guinea pig, because the scent of the toy will make them feel a lot more comfortable because they'll be smelling their own cage and themselves on that toy. So you make sure you've got one toy ready handy, maybe like a plastic jingly toy, and then a wooden one from their cage. So a couple of things that aren't necessarily essential, but I still think is great to have an evacuation kit, is some sort of soft fleece or towel. This way you can wrap the cage up a little bit to make them feel more secure, or if they're really terrified you can wrap your pet in the towel or fleece and it will make them a lot more comfortable. And a cuddle cup's always good to have in the cage. Under any stressful circumstances they'll feel a lot more comfortable on that, and at least it's giving them some comfort. So they're not essentials, but I would recommend them, especially the towel, because that comes in really handy in emergencies. So a few more things that aren't essentials and I wouldn't worry too much about, but are great things to add if you have the money or can find them, then I would add them. A couple of bowls, one maybe food, one for water if they're not drinking from a water bottle, or just as a spare. I got these bowls, you can see they're really little ones, but they're perfect for any emergency like this, and they're easy to keep because they're smaller than a standard guinea pig bowl. But you can put your pellets or anything in there, like veggies or something like that, and they're actually pudding dishes. So we had little yogurts in them, and once we did them I washed them out and kept them for situations like this. But it's not an essential, and I wouldn't say to worry about having a bowl if it's an emergency. I would just get the hay and the pellets and get out of there, because it's more important than having to worry about putting pellets into a bowl, because you can always scatter feed. And then the other thing I'd recommend is some sort of vitamin C solutions with guinea pigs, because depending on the emergency, obviously veggies are a huge thing in a guinea pig's diet, and although it's not the first priority in an emergency, you've got to think about what could happen, and you know, if they're not having that vitamin C. So it's always handy to have some in your first aid kit anyway. I have a couple of different types, but it's also good to have some in your evacuation kit or nearby so you can grab it. Not an essential, but something I'd consider thinking about, because you never know what the emergency is going to be, and if you're going to have to add some vitamin C yourself to their pellets or something like that. So those are all of the things that I would recommend having in a guinea pig evacuation kit. And if you haven't got an evacuation kit, I'd really consider putting one together. I mean, you should have a travel cage, and all you have to do is put a small bag of shavings in the travel cage out of the way, maybe a little tiny hidey house that you hardly ever use, and a little bag of pellets and hay. It's not too hard, and you will really appreciate it if anything happens and you need the kit. But of course you can add a lot more if you've got the time, the space and the money. You could add brushes and doubles of everything you've got and need, but I think these are the most essential things, especially the first few things that I mentioned. So hopefully I've taught you guys something new. I've always kept something like this handy just in case. It's always useful. And there's loads of different circumstances that can happen when you'll need this, and it's not just about, you know, the weather and things. It could be anything. It could be that you have to suddenly travel somewhere and you can't leave your pets because there's no one to look after them. I mean, just consider everything and just put one together. Trust me, you will really appreciate it when the time comes, if it ever does. Hopefully it won't, but you know what I mean. So hopefully this has helped you all out. Remember to share this video and let everybody know, because I think it's quite important. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter as well if you want to. I'd appreciate that. So thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye everyone.